Hello, welcome to Hobby Chat with Adam's Hobby Stuff. And this week I'm going to talk about recasting, talk through my warhound Chaos Titan, and then show you what I've spent my hobby money on this week. So why am I thinking about recasting? Well, if you've watched my channel lately, last Sunday I released a video where I made some homemade Zone Mortalis tiles for Necromunda, so I created them myself and then cast them up. So, casting models is something that I do occasionally myself, and obviously I enjoy. So why do I have a problem with casting up of Forge World things? It's a very different argument. When you see a lot of the recasts and people discussing recasting and things online, it generally revolves around I can get a Warhound Titan for cheaper with a recast. Now, I disagree. I don't think it's right to be directly ripping off another company's models or taking someone's IP. Now, whether that be in the model industry or whether that be pirating music or films or whatever, I don't agree with it, because it does in the end impact the original artist or in some way damages the official system. So if that's what I believe, why have I got what I believe to be a recast Warhound? Well, if you watch my unboxing of the Knight Asterius, which I put onto YouTube a while ago, you'll see on there that I intended to buy a Warhound Titan going to Warhammer World. Now, that wasn't possible. It had been out of stock for months online, and I contacted them and said, look, I'm coming down in person. I'll show you some really nice pads here. There's some beautiful stuff on this Warhound, which we'll get to later, whether it's real or not. I phoned them up and they said, oh, we don't know if it's going to be in stock or not, got no idea, which was annoying. So I started scouring the internet for a Titan. And again, the reason being is, as I said before on the channel, a friend of mine's bought a Warlord and we're going to do a massive game, and I wanted some bigger stuff to take it down. Hence why a lot of the Knight videos I've done on the channel for converting Nurgle Knights. So, want some Knights to take him down, want a Titan to take him down. Not available at Warhammer World. So what's my option? So I said, look online, and I found this one. As I'm showing you little parts here, you can see it's a very, very good fake, if it is fake. Lots of crisp detail. So I bought it. Now, what makes me believe it's fake? So I asked this question before I tell you why I believe, on a couple of forums, and said, I suspect I've been sold a fake. How do I tell? And the answers I got back were, oh, well, poorly moulded, right? It'll be poorly moulded, lots of mould lines, lots of casting lines. Okay, fair enough. The detail won't be very good, okay? The resin will be, real flaky or poor quality. And that was basically it. Now, if I flash you back to the unboxing of the Knight Asterius I talked about, I'll just take up one piece of that. So if we look at this actual, I know it's genuine Forge World piece that I bought at Warhammer World myself, did the unboxing for, you'll see in that video, I won't go through it too much, but lots and lots of sections like this. Really bad mould lines, whatever. Very, very crisp resin, I would say. Fairly crisp and clean, and actually weirdly, now I've bought some 3D printed models, lots and lots of little lines, that actually makes it look slightly like it's 3D printed, but it isn't. This is obviously absolutely genuine. I know, I bought it in Warhammer World, walked out with it. So if we then were to look at this recast model, or this suspected recast model, and look for mould lines, now maybe because it's a Chaos Knight, maybe because it's, dented, damaged, whatever, there aren't that many mould lines. Cleaning this up, not that I did much because it was already pre-cleaned up, there are a few mould lines, yes, but I can't find any sections of detail that it's lost detail. So moving on, why do I think this is fake? The resin. So pale grey, dark grey, it's quite blotchy. I don't know if it's coming out on camera very well, but it's quite blotchy resin. And the same thing with the gun. Is different coloured resin to the body. Now that could be explained away by saying, well, the gun was cast a year later than the Titan, they bought it in separate pieces. Well, perhaps, but I'm not quite in that world. So I suppose, why haven't I sent it back? That's the question. Well, if I believe this is fake, why haven't I gone through PayPal, got my refund and said, this is a fake model, I'm not happy? Well, the reason being is, I am just as happy with the quality of this model as I was with the quality of the Knight Asterius. If you watch that unboxing, you'll see the issue. This was half the price of the Knight Asterius, has an equal amount of mould lines and things on it that I have to clean up as the Asterius did. An equal amount of parts that are slightly warped, like the engine vent things here, which has got a slight warp to it. it's got just as many of those issues as the actual genuine Forge World model. And if I hadn't made quite a lot of Forge World models over my time and I hadn't worked with resin quite a lot, I wouldn't necessarily even register that this resin was any different, because even the small details nice and crisp. So that's why I'm not sending it back, purely and simply. Now, if Forge World had have treated me slightly nicer and thought said, oh, we're really sorry, we don't know when it's coming back in, we'll put you on a mailing list, we'll do whatever, and there was a slight better level of customer service, then, well, maybe I would feel compelled to send it back. And I think here's the problem with recasting. Recast is only a threat to the company if, one, the quality is good enough. If it's terrible quality, people won't want it. Similar to my thoughts on 3D printing that I expressed the other week. Never really done it, never really bought any 3D printing models because, well, the quality is never good enough. Now, I'm never going to buy a 3D printed Space Marine because, again, the IP issue. Quality, point one. Secondly, is the availability, and I think this is the key one, because if it's not available from Forge World, well, you can't buy it from Forge World. You are led down the path of a potential recast. But if it is a recast, again, look, beautiful detail in there, just as good. So, quality, availability. Price is that third metric, really, that lands in the hands of the recasters. So this was half the price from Forge World. So where's my motivation to go to Forge World? Now, you like to think it's the honesty piece to say I'm not going to deliberately buy a recast model. But again, like I've said, I couldn't buy this from Forge World. And again, there's absolutely no proof this is a recast model. I can't prove it. It's my belief that it is. How it was worded on the site, how it was done, whatever, was very careful not to say, you know, this is a genuine Forge World article. It just talked about it being a beautiful example of a warhound, titan, etc, etc, and I took the chance, took the risk, knowing that I could get my money back if it was wrong. And again, it is a beautiful example of a warhound titan, but my experience with resin, my experience with Forge World models, and my experience with you don't buy something for half price if it's in perfect nick, tells me it's a fake. And that worries me for the future. I think Games Workshop needs to be slightly worried for the future. If the availability is there with these recasters, if the quality is there with these recasters and the price is there with these recasters, Workshop needs to do something. Now, I'm not necessarily saying they should go out there and slam shut all these recasting firms, although that would be quite within their rights to do so, because these are blatant copies. There is no kind of someone sculpted a pretend Titan. This is the worst piece, actually, while we're on it. It's the worst casting. But again, I've seen bits like this on my Asterius that definitely came out of a Workshop. So, you know, they could go and slam down these people, or what they could do, sort their act out in terms of production, sort their act out in terms of quality, because they make just as many mistakes, and then reconsider their price. I talked last week when I did my video on casting Zone Mortalis tiles. You know, when you know how much resin costs, you know how much money Workshop are making through Forge World, and that was always the case. You know, and I think this is the difference. When I was working for Games Workshop when Forge World first launched, you know, 20 odd years ago, that doesn't connect there, that's a gun connection, Forge World was expensive, but it wasn't as expensive as it is, and actually the price rises don't seem comparable with the cost of resin price, so that's just something to consider. The other one I remember, when I did a bit of time down at head office, spent a month down there for a totally different project, but did spend a bit of time with the Forge World boys, and when a complaint of the nature of my Asterius, for example, when a complaint of the nature of that kind of poor miscasting came in, that piece would have been recast instantly and resent out. So there's definitely been a change in quality control. Maybe they're rushing, maybe they just don't care as much, maybe they realise people will put up with it. I don't know what it is, but something definitely has changed in how they deal with their punters and the quality of their models. So that's just my thoughts. Do I think I've got a recast Warhound? Yes, I do. Do I have a problem with it? No, I don't. I can get over this moral boundary in this instance. If it is recast, again, no proof it is, just my belief. I can get over that moral boundary by saying, well, actually, I wanted to go to Games Workshop with that money. And that money, I did end up spending the equivalent amount of money in Warhammer World anyway. So I can get over that moral boundary. The quality issue, there is no quality. There is no poor quality issue with this model whatsoever. So there's the danger. That's just some initial thoughts on recasting. Now let's talk about what I bought in the hobby this week. Super exciting hobby spender this week. You'll be amazed when I reveal this. That's right, I bought a metal beam. Interesting hobby pickup. As you've seen on the channel, doing a lot of Necromunda scenery at the moment. And I'm also doing a lot of Nurgle and little pieces like that from what you would say is your traditional hobby shops, not just your Warhammer stockists. Is a really interesting thing to add in to your modelling. So just pick one of those up just to see if I can fit it in. And the other one is some sculpting tools. I tend to use metal sculpting tools when I'm working with green stuff or mini put, whatever, but I'd seen these silicon tipped ones around for quite a while now. I've never bought any, and I thought, why not? This is a chance. I'm doing some little bits of sculpting and filling things in the Necromunda scenery I'm doing, so I thought, why not try a new piece of kit? So if any of you have ever used these, yeah, what are your comments? Are they any good? Obviously, I'll see that fairly soon, but another Green Stuff World purchase. I'm a massive fan of Green Stuff World products, as you probably realise from the channel. I use quite a lot of them, so yeah, looking forward to trying these. So I hope you enjoyed that hobby waffle. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. Drop some comments down below, and I'll see you on another video.